Oklahoma is celebrating the 100th birthday of a Native son who became a national treasure. Allan Hauser's life's work was to give Native Americans a sense of pride through his art. In what would have been his centennial year, Hauser's artistry is on display in 11 museums and galleries statewide.
This is truly a statewide celebration. I've never seen this happen before.
The whole state is recognizing my father, his accomplishments in the arts, and also tying it into the 100th year since the release of the Apaches. They were in prison for 27 years.
Every time I see an Allan Hauser piece, it makes me very proud I was part of this project.
We live in a world where we are intellectual warriors now. And so it's very exciting to see the evolution and the hope that he gave not only his own tribe, but all of Native America and all of us who are non-Native.
I'm just pleased that we can call him one of our own.
I think indeed that all Oklahomans ought to be proud of his achievement, and as I say, his story is a heroic one and is inspiring not just to Chiricahua people and Native American people, but to all people.
We're very pleased to be here this morning installing 5 works at the Oklahoma State Capitol building, which were made by the late artist Allan Hauser. 2014 is the 100th anniversary of Allan Hauser's birth. He was born June 30th, 1914 in Apache, Oklahoma on the family farm there. He was the first child to be born out of captivity in his family at Fort Sill. His father wanted him to take over the farm, but Allan at a young age started making drawings. And he was just born with a muse. He didn't have any art teachers. There were no art classes. There was no support or anything to do with art. He just had this motivation to draw. When he was 20 years old, he was in the Indian office in Anadarko, Oklahoma, and he saw a flyer that had been posted for a painting class that had been created at the Santa Fe Indian School. And he looked at that flyer and thought, you know, gosh, this is something I'd really like to do. So in 1934, he arrived in Santa Fe and became one of the first students from outside of the Santa Fe area to study at this painting class. They were very successful in that. They helped develop the careers of hundreds and hundreds of artists. Allan himself was a little frustrated by the fact that they weren't working in contemporary European motifs. They weren't exploring expressionism. But he went with it, and he actually became the most famous of all of these students.
This is our second exhibit on Allan Hauser and his impact, and he dedicated his life to the creative expression of who he was, the family, and then has inspired us with that artwork. Most American Indian art today is a reflection of Allan Hauser's inspiration. This exhibit is a reflection of his artistic ability. We have the story of Allan Hauser and Sam Houses and Blossom, and then Allan's sons, Bob and Philip, who would continue the traditions of expressing themselves not only as artists but as Apaches, who have held on to some of the culture, the influence of the songs, the stories, the spirituality, the relationship with the earth. All of this is expressed through the art of Allan Hauser.
It's overwhelming. You know, I'm just proud to be able to speak on his behalf, travel around and say some good words and express my personal feelings, you know, because they were very personal. He was my father.